On this episode of Exactly How, we're going to show you how to calculate exactly how much you need to quit your job, how to replace your current income with passive real estate income, and how to set free on the life of your dreams on this episode of Exactly How.
You're listening to the Exactly How podcast, where you'll hear the underground, closely guarded wealth building secrets of successful people around the globe. Discover exactly how to improve your mental, physical, and financial health. Feel better, make more money, live, give, and prosper in today's exciting, fast-paced world filled with opportunity for those who know exactly how.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Connected Investors podcast, Exactly How. During this episode, you're going to learn exactly how to replace your current income at your job with money from investing in real estate so you can quit your job. For those of you who are new, my name is Ross Hamilton, today's host and CEO of ConnectedInvestors.com. And today we have the privilege to learn from a man who went from mechanic to big-time real estate investor in a very short period of time. Prior to his career in real estate, he worked in heavy equipment as a truck mechanic, he was a heavy equipment operator, truck driver, insurance sales, pizza delivery, but all that changed when he realized, hey man, I'm working 100 hours a week. Don't have much to show for it. He saw an infomercial on TV. He got involved in real estate in the early 90s and has never looked back. I would describe our guest as a very giving individual. And today he's going to explain exactly how to quit your job. Ed, thank you so very much for taking the time to speak with us.
Hey, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, this is a really exciting topic for a lot of people because there's so many individuals that are just looking for that critical piece of information to give them the confidence that they need to go out on their own, control their own destiny. So this is a very exciting podcast for so many of our members. I'm really pumped on this. But before we jump into it, Ed, you contribute a lot of your success to self-development. Why do you think that's played such a big role in your success?
Well, in my background as a mechanic, it's a totally different world. I had no idea that self-development was even out there. Of course, in the 80s and 90s, you didn't have everything you did today. But when I was introduced to it, I thought, wow, I could actually get smarter about the world in general. So once I started, I kind of got hooked on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once you stop learning, you stop earning. And it's always, it's crazy. The people that think self-development or self-help stuff doesn't work, they've never tried it.
Right.
It's a muscle. It's like saying going to the gym doesn't work. Hey, I went to the gym. I lifted a few weights. I don't feel any better. Okay. Well, great. Right. So most of the people on the line here are really into self-development. They're listening to educational material just like this, which is self-development. And I'm really excited about that. Now, Ed, you have a weird background there. Where are you at your house? Where are you?
Right now I'm at my son's house.
Oh, you're at your son's house?
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier and you said he lives on your property. You have a lot of property?
Yeah, I have about 75 acres, which I started with 37 of my own, and then I bought a rental a couple houses down that actually joined properties with mine. It gave me about 75 acres total. Great.
So you built your son a house.
Well, I didn't really build it. There was in our town, they had some overflow class modules at the high school. And
interesting.
It was a 24 by 60 building. It wasn't a modular. It was actually a stick-built building. And I had to move them 8 miles. So I got 2 of them for $4,400 because no one else could figure out how to move them. So it was quite an endeavor, but I was able to move these. They're 17.6 high, which is a lot higher than most power lines. And we moved them 8 miles, set them up, and basically built a house within these classrooms.
There you go. Well, you know what? When you're in real estate, you're essentially a problem solver. So you solved the problem, and now your son has a great place to live.
It worked out good. Both of them. I got 2 sons, and they both got 1 each. So.
Oh, perfect. Don't want to play favorites.
Right.
Well, Well, great. For everyone that's on the line, what makes the Exactly How Financial Freedom podcast very different is we pull the information directly out of our guest's head and create a full blueprint and action plan for you that you can find at exactlyhow.com. Also, Ed has a fantastic free gift that's going to really help you take action from the information we're going to cover today, which is one of the most important podcasts we've held in a while. So I want you to visit exactlyhow.com and go ahead and review all the notes there, grab the free stuff. And also all of our past episodes can be found there with all of our past free gifts. So it's like a grab bag of great things. If you have any questions during this episode, just comment the questions, right? Especially if you're on YouTube, because I'm personally watching that. We have our staff watching that. We'll get you the answers you need to any of your questions you have during this show. And if you visit exactlyhow.com, right now, you can throw your name in the drawing to win our $3,000 software called PIN that finds you deals that the general public cannot find. Vacant, pre-foreclosure, probate, shadow inventory, all of the best unseen deals by other people can be found in this piece of software. Visit exactlyhow.com right now. Throw your name in the hat. If you're watching this live, you could be today's winner. So, Ed, let's go ahead and jump right into this on how to quit your job with real estate. So before we started the show here, we talked about the 3 steps, and that was first understanding what that number is, right? The second one was understanding the kind of income you need. The third was taking action. It was education, and then of course taking action. So Ed, let's go ahead and start at the top. How do we figure out what the number is? How much we need to be able to successfully say bye-bye to our boss and get into real estate full-time?
Okay, I've got to kind of relate it a little bit to my own situation and how I did it. It's not how much money you make, but it's how much you really need. And I find that most people have no idea where their money goes. They might know what their mortgage expense is or their rent, but that's about as far as they really know where their money goes. So you need to find out exactly what your expenses are per month. And there are needs, and then of course there's wants. But if we start with the needs, figure out what that number is. If you could replace that number, then you don't have to work anymore.
There you go. There you go. So how does someone go through the steps in figuring out really what that number is? So maybe what was that number for you? Is this exactly what you went through?
In a sense, I'm kind of a cheapskate, so I lived simply at the times. I needed about $3,000 a month to live, and I looked at my rent, I looked at my utilities. I had a kid on the way at the time, so there was a little bit of an unknown there, but I did have some medical expenses. So I put a list of all those expenses, exactly what they were, and allowing a little bit for the unforeseen, gas and, breakdown of a vehicle or something like that. But then when I found that number, like it was $3,000 in my case, what did I need to do to get $3,000 or $36,000 a year? Either way, I could make it work.
Yeah. Well, good. What year was that? I'm just curious.
1992.
1992. Okay. So probably adjust a little bit for inflation depending on where you live. You can really figure out what that number might be.
Yeah.
Now, Ed, you talked about the type of income. Step number 2 being figuring out what type of income you need. Can you walk us through the different types of real estate income?
Well, you have like a linear income, for example, would be exchanging time for money. But in essence, flipping houses is a linear income. Once you get done with that house, you're done. You have to go get another one or you run out of money eventually. But residual income could come from obviously rents, but it could come from notes. It could come from royalties, things that provide a certain amount of money every month, regardless if you're working or not. Of course, you might have to evict somebody or something could change a little bit, but generally you've got a set amount of money that's going to come in each month. And then the last one is leveraging that residual, obviously, by having more units, either multifamilies or mobile home parks or anything that gives you more than just one.
Gotcha. So just understanding the fix and flip income, that could be really big chunks of cash,
right?
Like that come in. or the cash flow. So figuring out the blend between that is important. What do you find most people, how most people kind of structure that?
Well, it's interesting listening to people who live in different parts of the country. And I've lived in different areas too. In a, New York, Connecticut metropolitan or some of these cities, you might need $80,000 to $100,000 just to make it. But where I live in rural Maine, you can live pretty good on $30,000, $40,000 a year. So the numbers are all over the place. But it seems like at the end of the month, the percentages are the same. People might have 1% left or 10% left, and it seems to be all relative. It works in rich areas and in poor areas.
Yeah. Well, great. Anything else you want to touch on figuring out the kind of income you need?
Well, what I did is I figured out that I could flip a house. The course that I bought originally was Carlton Sheets' No Money Down course.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the 70s. And it still got some good points that I still use today. But I could buy and flip a house, or in my case, it was condominiums, and make $20,000 to $30,000 in probably 3 weeks of my work, which at that time, that was several months of mechanic work. Mm-hmm. So I started flipping a couple, and then I said, man, I could rent this thing for $800 a month, and I only paid $20,000 for it. The numbers, I was netting $400 or $500 a month. I only needed half a dozen of these, and I've got my income. So I did a combination of both.
Great. So, do you think it's really one of those things you kind of start doing on the side as a side hustle? Build up that income, and
I think you'd have to, unless you got a good nest egg, because you can't just walk. Everything takes time. If you buy and flip a house, you sold it today, it's going to take 60 days to close. So there is time involved, and of course, residual income, it takes a little while to build that up.
Yeah. So let's say someone's on this podcast and like, you know what, I'm sick of this. I'm ready to do it. Well, how long, realistically, if someone hit the ground running, do you think it would take someone to be able to build up, let's just call it $40,000 in income a year through real estate, starting off brand new, not having anything except the willingness to work hard?
Well, I bought 12 condos the first year that I did it. And maybe that's exceptional. I don't know, but I had a pretty strong reason why. And I was really determined to make it happen. I think you can do it in a year or two without really being exaggerating.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that first 6 months is a real test.
Yep.
So if you're new to real estate, if you've been trying hard, if you're listening to all the podcasts, if you're using Connected Investors and you have our software, and you're like, where are the results? Remember, like I said earlier about the gym, it's, you're not going to see anything for the first, dozen times, but all of a sudden it just shows up. I remember, you ever read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Ed? I'm actually not Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
There's, that was the second book I read. The first book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The second book was Think and Grow Rich. And there's this one thing Napoleon Hill says that is 100% true. Once money starts coming in, it starts coming in such high frequency and great volumes, you wonder where it's been hiding all along.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how my life was. I was grinding away, working hard, having to remotivate myself, get into the self-help type books and just self-discipline. And then I didn't have much to show for it. And all of a sudden it was like, wow, now I'm really crushing it all of a sudden. And I just want to just give a little bit of encouragement for those of you who are trying. But
I think Jim Rohn had an interesting quote. He says, once you learn that money is a result of the value you add to the marketplace, then there's no limit to what you can make. So all you got to do is add more value and you're going to make more money. And
yeah,
it's just a different way of looking at it, pretending to, rather than working more hours or making more per hour. Great.
Yeah. So we talked about what your number is, the kind of income you want, and now the education. So someone's like, great, this is what I want to do. It's time to start learning.
Right. Well, webinars are great, but it's kind of like a big overview. You can get ideas and get some really good points from the webinars, but you can't take a webinar with you. I guess you can on phone and technology these days, but I like the books or something that I can make notes in. I can scribble up. I can take it with me, highlight, or this didn't work, why. I can write and refer back to it. I still refer back to some, even of Carlton Sheet stuff sometimes. I look back, 30 years almost, and look at some of the stuff that he used to do, and it still works today. So
yeah. I mean, education. There's different types of learning, right? There's a great video on my YouTube channel on how to find a free mentor for your real estate investing business.
Yep.
On a previous podcast we touched base on that. Definitely visit the Connect Investors YouTube channel and watch that. Because me personally, Ed, I need to be hands-on. Right. I can read all day long, but until I'm, touching that house, until I'm looking at the paperwork, it just doesn't stick with me. So there's a lot of different ways to learn,
right.
Out there. So making sure you understand the type of learner you are.
Yeah. When I first started, I didn't have a partner. Or I didn't know anybody else that was doing it. So I was kind of figuring it out on my own. But now I got a few people that I'm kind of helping out. And what they're doing is they're doing the work. I'm providing the money, but I'm touching base, and they run things by me. How to do this? Where can I get that? What should I do that? And this one individual, I think we're on our 7th or 8th house now. And he's doing really well, and it works good for me. We're splitting the profits. So, I'm making money for doing a lot less than I used to have to. But for him, sure, he's given half of it away, but he's able to do these projects that he wouldn't be able to do on his own. And it's a lot cheaper than going to some of these real high-end gurus, 50 or 100 grand to learn how to invest in real estate.
Exactly. It's like you get to kind of earn and learn at the same time. And
right.
I've been on both sides of that equation, Ed. I was on one side, and then I started doing the same thing that you're doing with individuals. And people would come to me all the time, and I would try to chase them away by giving them tough work. And most people faded away, but the people who stuck with it, are financially free now, right. Having me as their mentor in their early years. So it's really cool to see. So outside of just the education, the mentors, right? The different ways to learn, taking action. This is a daily thing, isn't that correct, Ed?
Right. You can't be what do they say, course junkie. Mm-hmm. Just listen and study and do nothing. I mean, they're kind of worthless then. So you got to get out there and, like you say, see what it smells like. One of these foreclosed houses.
They smell good too. Let me tell you that. Don't open the refrigerator.
Right.
There's nothing good in the refrigerator ever.
I bought one time where the stuff in the refrigerator had expired. I think it was 5 years previous. So there was some milk and some other brown and green things in there. I'm not really sure, but
that's no good. That's no good. Well, thanks for jumping on the show here and providing this this overview. I have two things I still have to do here. We have to give away our access to our software, and also I want you to talk a little bit about the free gift that you're providing all of our listeners.
Okay.
Yeah. So tell me about the free gift they're going to get.
Well, there's an ebook on my website that has parts of a written book that I have, but it gives you a good overview. I'm not a author in terms of polished. You can see it's kind of rough in spots, but I'm still involved in real estate. But people are asking me questions, so I wrote it down, and there's a lot. What's in there is enough to get people started in several different aspects of real estate and be able to do it confidently. There's not a lot of fluff there. It just tells you, hey, do this, do this, do this. And if you do it, you'll be all right. That's
the type of book that I want to read, right? The ones that are just kind of raw and real, coming from someone who's in the trenches, doing it, quit his job. Now he has tons of acres, helps other people do it, builds his son little houses or whatever the heck it is you call those things. And loves to share information here. So I'll make sure to have links for you to get that download. Make sure to get it, open it, read it at exactlyhow.com. And For those of you who already visited exactlyhow.com, threw your name into the hat, the winner of this week's software is Rich Edwards. Rich, congratulations. We'll get you all set up. This is a $3,000 software that you're going to have access to. Shows you all the best properties, gives you all the contact info of the individuals who own the properties that aren't even listed, and really helps kind of pave your way to your first or next deal. So Ed, did you know that we do a rapid fire portion of this podcast?
Yeah, this isn't going to go so well, but yeah, I've heard other people.
heard other people. Awesome. I like that it's starting to get around now. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. And I'm going to throw some questions I haven't asked anyone at you.
Good.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how strict were your parents?
6.
Get up early or stay up late?
Early.
How many hours of sleep do you get?
I shoot for 7.
Favorite or most recent book that you read?
I like The One Thing.
If you could be any superhero, who would it be?
You don't like Superman, I hear. So how about Batman?
A little more original. There you go.
I don't know my superheroes.
Yeah. My favorite answer to that question was still Warren Buffett.
Oh.
What's something everyone should do less of?
Screen time.
Something everyone should do more of?
Read.
Bitcoin, bang or bust?
I think it's maybe a long-term bang, but not short-term.
Will people visit Mars in your lifetime?
I think so.
All right. I hope so. All right. Hey, Ed, thank you so very much for taking the time out of your schedule to jump on the call with us.
All right. Well, my pleasure. Thanks.
Great. And for everyone who is still on, congratulations. You made it to the end of the show. You finished what you start. That is such a rare talent set in today's world. It means you got some value from myself and Ed. So please go ahead and comment any questions you have. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe. Make sure to visit connectedinvestors.com and sign up so you can network with nearly 1 million other real estate investors. And thank you so very much for being part of the Exactly How podcast. I'll talk to you on the next episode.
The Connected Investors app connects you with investors, notifies you of available properties, helps locate cash buyers, and secure private funding to close deals. Set up in seconds to become a member of the Connected Investors social network. Now you can scroll through your main feed to find cash buyers, see investment properties not available to the general public, and network with investors by adding your own comments to a thread to keep the conversation going. The Control Center is your connection to add properties to sell, start new discussions, connect with local investors, and even find private funding. The Notifications tab will keep you alerted to new investment properties and offers. You'll also find new friend requests to connect directly with the community to build your network. From the property marketplace, you'll be able to find, favorite, and make offers on investment properties. Download Connected Investors today to find, figure, fund, and flip investment properties on the go.